Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Fly the Coop. I am here today with Kelly Jahner-Byrne. You're going to love hearing Kelly's story. This young lady is an entrepreneur like no other, a coach, a mentor, and she has got an impressive resume. So I'd like to welcome you, Kelly, to the show. Thank you so much for being here with me this morning. I'm honored. Thank you.
Oh, Cari, and it's so much fun to be with you because you have had such great success. And over these last, I'm going to say it's probably 20 plus years of knowing one another. Back when we were like 10, right? When we were riding tricycles and 10, just funny. You introduced me as a young lady and I love that.
You are.
That's just, that's fun. I'm 56 and I own all of it because, I'm the adventure seeker. In fact, later today, I'll be leaving, to go snowmobiling for the weekend. So
I know. So cool.
Fun.
So cool. Yeah. You've been snowmobiling for how long now?
I got my first snowmobile when I was 9. My dad was a construction worker and a guy had a sled that he had to sell, a little beat up 1973 Polaris. And
wow.
I had gone snowmobiling with a girlfriend and her family when I was like in the 4th grade. And I rode on the back with her mom and she rode on the back of her dad's. And I got home from that weekend and I tell you, I was absolutely hooked. And it wasn't long, I believe the universe works for you. I was praying about it in my little bedroom. Oh, I'd love a snowmobile. My parents couldn't afford a snowmobile, but one showed up. It had a motor and skis and it ran and I rode it for years. But yeah, I've been riding since I'm 56 and I got my first snowmobile when I was 9. So, and I used to race a little bit and all kinds of crazy, just crazy.
Well, Kelly, the reason I wanted you on the show, first of all, you're such a lover of life. And you're such a giver of yourself. And you're such an inspiration, such a beautiful person. I've been following and watching you for years. And I was just visiting with a friend last week. And I said, the time goes by so quickly. We're all so full. And we seem to get busier and busier every year as the social piece continues to take over our life. I'm like, I thought of you the other, and I'm like, I'm going to reach out to Kelly. I need to interview this woman. So let's start at the beginning, because if people were to look up Kelly Jahner-Byrne, you would be so impressed with this woman's resume. Oh my God, you have had quite an experience, and you're just like opening it wide up right now. You are on fire right now. So let's start with your gorgeous pictures when you won Mrs. Minnesota International. Holy Hannah, really impressive. Tell everybody about that. What was that experience like?
Well, I can tell you it was a dang experience. And, this is the funny thing I think it was a really great business lesson. There was a lot of lessons. When I was in high school, I decided to run in the Miss Minnesota program. And I was a singer in school. I was on the dance line. I was not popular. I was definitely not cool. I was just the normal average kind of kid. And I ran in this pageant and I'm pretty sure that I was dead last. My parents didn't know a lot about, pageantry. I didn't grow up in the mold. And I could, I thought I was an okay singer. I had, a high school teacher that was not an encourager, but a discourager. Business lesson, get a second opinion, And so I did this, got into the Miss Minnesota program, and it was really in the Miss America program to win scholarship dollars because there was nobody in my family, immediate family, that had ever gone to college. And there was no way I was going to college if I didn't have some scholarship money.
Okay.
And so, I ran in it and I'm sure I was dead last, very discouraged, very disheartened, got teased, about, not winning. Teenage girls sometimes can be really brutal. And so, that was very discouraging. And so, I kept going. And, years later, I was in my very early, 20s. I think it was 20 or 21. And I saw the program piece again. And so this is my note to business people or to anybody. If something keeps popping up in your life, deal with it. So my girlfriend said, "You're so fit." I was an aerobics instructor. You can sing. I was singing at the time, getting paid. And I was singing with a small group and things and doing weddings and, all the things.
How cool.
And I ended up, I did it. I ended up running. I was a runner up in a local, but I won like $1,000 in scholarship money. That was big money back in the 80s. And I did it again and I ended up winning. I got to go to the state. I was a runner up. thousands of dollars in scholarship. I was so mad that I didn't win because I'm competitive. Yes. And so I was so mad that I didn't win. And so I thought, oh, opportunity knocked. So I got to be Miss Cottage Grove. I got to be Miss Stillwater. They had open programs, and I ended up runner up twice. That wasn't bad enough.
Amazing.
So my girlfriend, another girlfriend, encouraged me. She says, "You've got all the gear. You should just run in Miss USA." So it was like, I don't know, a couple months later, and I was super fit. You know, ladies
You still are.
appreciate.
You still are.
Yeah. Yeah. I work out a lot, but you know, ladies appreciate your 20 and 30 and 40-year-old body because it's so amazing. So I ended up in Miss USA, runner up again. And I thought, I'm hanging up my damn pageant slippers. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it was years later, after I got married. I was 31 when I got married. My cute little husband is a chef. He's from Ireland. He's amazing. And we were out to dinner, and my friend who knew that I had been in the pageant program, my husband never knew that I was ever in anything like that.
No,
And said,
really? It never came up?
No, it never came up. You know, I mean, there was a lot of stuff. We had kind of a long distance relationship. He worked on a cruise ship. He was an officer on a cruise ship. I was living in Minnesota, you know, so when we were talking, we weren't talking about, you know, my pageant slippers and my beaded gowns, you know, so it came up, and she said, "You should run for Mrs. Minnesota. I bet that would be really good for your charity that you're working on." And it was one of those head turns. What? And she was runner up, like blah, blah, blah. And she won all this scholarship money. And so it began, and it began again. Wow. I ran in the Mrs. Minnesota America program. And then I ran in the Mrs. Minnesota International. And the difference is one is a beauty pageant and one is platform driven. Well, of course I'm a speaker and I have a heart for charities. I ended up winning, after doing that dang endeavor a couple of times. I was runner up with a broken arm. No, that's a whole nother podcast. I broke my arm loading my snowmobile 6 weeks before the program. So I was in a cast from my wrist now. But anyway, I won. And
that's really impressive and great storytelling, right?
You know, in 2001, I think that the good Lord has a plan for all of us. And September 11th happened, and I ended up speaking for all these nonprofits, which I had a heart for. We raised, you know, like $3 million for 20 different nonprofits. I wrote a book over Memorial Day weekend. It came to my hot little hand in August, and we had the book release at the governor's residence when Jesse Ventura was the governor. So, I mean, it's timing, it's tenacity. And I think you need to just continue to chase after something that keeps coming up. And then I went on to be the MC for 17 years, and I met some of my best girlfriends, some of my business partners, and some just amazing families. So I look at it all as it was a path. It was a God wink for me. So
it really was. And it really, I have to think it certainly opened up all these doors, because you really have created a life that you're sharing this story and you're inspiring these women every day through your
It's all about how. It's all about helping others win.
Helping others win. I love that. I love it. So let's talk about how, because it is the heart and soul of who and what you're doing now. So when did it start? How did you do it? And how did you reach out to the community and share your story?
Well, I've always been a volunteer. My mother made me do it, and that's what I wrote my book on. My book's called Volunteer for Life, Achieving Your Personal and Professional Goals. You don't really fire volunteers. So volunteer work is an absolutely wonderful opportunity for you to test out your skills, to hone your skills, to get better, bolder, and make connections.
Right.
You know, that old adage of it's not what you know, it's who you know. That's very true. And then you can take what you know and help somebody else with who you know. And so it came to me, I wanted to rebrand, and I was just dragging my feet like every other entrepreneur does. And I took over a women's networking group, and we grew it to be an award-winning chapter. And my goal in that was not only to grow this women's organization, but it was for me to find resources. And so I thought, what better way to find a branding agent and, you know, marketing, you know, that can, because I do marketing, but it's hard to look at your own stuff.
Yeah.
I really looked at it as an opportunity to, you know, build out my brand. And that was in 2017. And the gal that worked with me to brand came up with the How Gal. And I was like, I was so devastated. I thought, the how gal, are we serious? All of that research, all of that time, photo shoots, all this. And we came up with the how gal. And
I love it. I think it's
I
great.
had to take a step back. So I'm walking the dogs
Mhm.
and I'm on my second lap around the lake, kind of fretting. How we do, we get in our own heads.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
Tony Robbins says, get in your head and you're dead.
Yeah.
And I was getting
It's
in my
so
head
true.
and I
So
walked
true.
around and I literally stopped dead in my tracks. People don't come to me to learn how to do something
Mhm.
or to learn the how to. They come to me because I help others win. And it just hit me. I know exactly where I was standing. I was at the end of the pond before the bridge, and I stopped dead in my tracks. And it was like the how gal. It's the help others win gal. It's the how companies. It's the how
Right.
marketing.
Mhm.
It's the how conference. It's all of those things. And um, it might sound a little, kooky or whatever, but really, I want to help other people win. And I've
Mhm.
never had to worry about where's my next client coming from? Where's my next speaking opportunity? I've
Mhm.
never had to really worry about where my next is. And yeah, it's been a lot of hard work, no joke. But when you help others win, just like you're doing with your real estate, I know you invest so hard
Mhm.
into people to do the right thing.
We try,
And
right? I
it
mean, it's always out of the heart of just trying to make it a win for everybody that
yes,
you meet these people in your life and you're there to help. You hope.
exactly.
That's what I always
And
say. The goal is to help. Mhm.
yeah, when you help somebody win, you can win too.
Mhm.
And that's the thing is I think people are just as afraid of success as they are of failure. It's like
Right.
they almost want to help people and not get paid.
Right.
Why not help people and get paid? That's a noble way to
I
work.
agree. I agree.
That's how that that's how we did it and that's how it worked. I'd love to tell you it was some, romantic whatever. No, it was painful.
Yeah, well, it
And
is. When you're really passionate about something and you really are a person who's truly trying to move the needle in a positive direction. Like I always say to the team, there's always room for growth. Like we never have it fully locked down, right? I mean, if you're not learning every day and you're not learning from other people and listening to feedback in a positive way, you're not growing.
for sure.
And that's what
For
you're
sure.
you're totally about that. Like you're rooted in that foundation, Kelly. You really are. It's
Mhm.
so cool to watch you. What I love about your story is how many women you're impacting in your life in a time and has been for many years. I mean, really forever. Women really need to feel supported and inspired. And I think personalities like yours are so needed in the world. We need so many more Kellys in the world. So how do you
I think
see
it's
how
interesting
moving
because
forward?
yes, so many people are um afraid of confidence.
Mhm.
So that's something that I love to, that I love to share. People will ask me, how did you get so confident?
Yeah.
Because being not confident really stinks. It's an ugly
It did not
sheltered
yeah,
place
it doesn't
where
feel
you kick
good.
yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
with our how conference, we do it every year in September. It'll be September 12th, 2023 this year. But everything that we do centered around helping other people win centers around cash.
Mhm.
And that's an acronym.
Right.
So these acronyms are so easy to remember. But
Right.
I look at our company helps others win by putting cash in our clients and the world's pocket. What's that cash? That cash is confidence.
Mhm.
It's accountability.
Mhm.
Confidence and accountability are brother and sister. They
Mhm.
they need each other. Like, they need each other like water and air.
Yeah.
Because without confidence, it's hard to be accountable. Without accountability, it's hard to be confident.
Yeah.
So we talk about sales. Every human is in sales. Just think of your kids.
Right.
Mom, can I have that? Mom,
Yeah.
and
So true.
everybody has something that they can help or help somebody else with. So it's really all about, confidence, accountability, sales, and getting the help and the how to. And that's what I speak on when I'm working with companies or conferences or individuals. And that's the basis of everything that we work with our coaching clients
Right.
on. And then in our, we have a health and wellness company, the How Healthy Lifestyle. There's
Cool.
women
Love that.
many women that come to us that would love to be an entrepreneur, but they don't have a $500,000 to buy a nonprofit, and they don't have the bandwidth to start. So we can help them in that aspect too, have their own business, and, and get started quickly. So it really is, it's fun to help people win. But do you know what the most fun thing, Cari, is?
What?
Carry on. It's the most fun thing to do is, and I always tell people once I get to know them a little bit, is as they start to succeed, I said, I'm going to get to tell you one thing that I love to say. I told you so. See,
Yeah.
look at you. And it's really fun. And then we all have a good laugh about it. My mother used to say, I told you so. And I flipped that one around, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot
So
of fun.
jumping back to the speaking engagements and how you get the word out, because I just think there's so many people out there as we push this kind of content out and
Mhm.
target, right? Especially women that are seeking out inspiration, coaching opportunities, ideas. How do you find your network of people? For those, it's a two-part question, really. For those that are like you, like us, that want to broaden their network, and separately starting a business, like how did that work for you? And if you were to give somebody a piece of advice, what
Mhm.
kind of advice would you give them to move the needle, like start the process? Does that make sense?
Yep. First things first is, you know, how does somebody start a business? 22 years ago, I hired a coach. It was an awful experience.
Oh,
So in all transparency, I'm not a big fan of coaches. Somebody, and this is my opinion.
I think
And,
you're
I'm sure listeners may
Kelly.
beg to differ, but it is my opinion because it's my experience.
Mhm.
So I spent $20,000, $15,000 to have a speaking coach. And then I thought, well, it didn't really get where I wanted it to go. So I poured another $5,000 gas on the fire. And that was the dumbest thing ever, but it was the smartest thing because I figured out what a bad coach is.
Mhm.
You can have all the certifications in the world. And if that's what you want, super. But I love experience. I
Right.
love experience. I love see, I told you so. I can help you, not in a negative way or in a bossy way, but in a really bottom line, honest, authentic way.
Yeah.
So I hired this coach. It was a terrible experience. Nice person. She's still in business. It's all good. Whatever. Wrong coach for me. So two things came from that. She should have told me that I really wasn't the right client for her because that's not what she really coached on. But I had, a pocketbook. So anybody that's reaching out for a coach, this is what I would look for. I would vet them. I would talk to their referral. I would talk to their former clients. I wouldn't just read the reviews or the testimonials or listen to the reel on their website,
Right.
because that's what I did. And it was not the right fit for me. And I think I'm a bright woman.
Mhm.
I'm not easily sold.
Right.
But I would talk to people that have actually had success. And my view, my opinion is if a coach isn't willing to, or doesn't have that number of people that you could actually speak with and
Mhm.
just have a fluid conversation, then
Yeah.
I don't know. I would personally never hire them. But
Right.
that's my opinion. That works for me.
Right.
And so my business, you would ask me, where does it come from? My business is referral. I teach people how to network and how to grow their contact list. In this silly little phone, I've got over 6,000 contacts that I've just learned how to network. And Carrie
Right.
Ann, you were in there. We haven't talked in a long
No,
time,
we haven't. I
but it's
know.
fresh every day. And you're the kind of networker and the kind of woman that is honest and does honest business. And
Yeah.
so people will come back to you.
Right.
And I think
Well, and that's absolutely the point, right? That's the
right.
whole point of all of this is
So
that.
start out that way.
Yeah.
For somebody that has, that would, like you had mentioned about speaking, how did that happen? Well, I think that there are people that would love to be a professional speaker and they don't know what their topic will be.
Mhm.
I think it's important to find somebody that can help you develop that.
Right.
Somebody that can see in you what you really have,
Mhm.
but a lot of people just want to develop, well, I need to develop my pitch. COVID changed everything.
It did.
I've done over
Totally agree.
3,300 Zooms. If you're going to be a speaker today, I know that's a ridiculous number.
No, I agree with you 100%. Like I didn't ever Zoom until COVID, and now
Get,
we Zoom all the
get
time.
good,
Yeah.
get good at Zoom, because just yesterday I was supposed to be live, and we had a snowstorm in Minnesota, and rather than scrap the event, I came in, provided the Zoom link, and we had, there probably would have been 40 or 50 people in the room. Well, I think we had around 40 online.
Right.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So developing that speaking career, you have to have something to say, and then have somebody mentor you and help you, along to develop it.
Right.
And speed is your friend.
It sure is.
Speed is your friend.
fast
You don't have to know
these
how to do
days.
everything
Right.
to be successful. You
Totally
just
agree with you on that.
do something.
Build the team. I always say to the team when we're working with clients, every single story is a unique story, right? Everybody's needs are unique to them, and building the right team around them to get to the end game is really the goal. And I think that what you're doing right now, there is such an amazing opportunity to be able to partner with somebody like you, Kelly, or you specifically, because of your bandwidth, your knowledge, and your experience, and your how. How do you do it? You've got that nailed. You've totally got that nailed.
It's interesting
cool.
because, it all of that has really blossomed. And when I look at the companies that I speak for, franchises, because they're entrepreneurs, right? And the franchise company themselves need to bring something fresh
Right.
in. I work with a number of real estate folks because they serve every aspect of the market. You have every kind of client that you can think of comes through your door, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Work with, just sales organizations. I've worked in everything from medical to construction. And I think it's just people find me and they like the vibe in my tribe and what we do. And I love referral business. And if you have to start somewhere. It starts with a list. It starts with one name, two names, three names.
Right.
Just like you, just truly like you started. One name, two names, and on you go.
And referrals, and a lot of referrals and recommendations. So when you look at the bandwidth, not specific names, of course, but when you look at the bandwidth of the kind of client that you're working with, Kelly, share with the audience what that looks like, because it's quite varied. Like it's all over the place, right? It's not about what they do. It's about who they are and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. My client base is, it is all over the board.
It is.
So I have,
it's cool. I love that.
It's so dang much fun. So I have worked with a publishing company who went from, book publishing has changed a lot.
Oh my gosh. We got to talk about that. Make a note, book public, because that's,
Yep. I've written two.
Yeah.
Wrote one over a weekend.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard. People make way too much time on it, but everything from publishing company to I'm looking at current client base. It's, it's in real estate, it's mortgage, financial planner. My one client is an octogenarian and wanted to become a speaker. An 80-year-old person, an octogenarian.
What is that? Like, what does that mean?
So when you're 80 years old, you are an octogenarian.
No,
so
really?
Anyway, yep,
she's
in her 80s and she wanted to be a paid speaker. And
wow,
we worked together and she got her first paid speaking gig quickly. So worked with people in health and wellness. I've worked with doctors, lawyers, CEOs of major corporations that wanted to develop their speaking. It's all about helping them win. Yeah. And everything I do falls along the lines of improving their confidence, improving their accountability, or selling more, or speaking more, because in order to speak more, you have to be a great salesperson.
Right.
And that is a misnomer that people think that if I'm a speaker, I'm not a salesperson. Heck yeah, you are. Nobody's going to hire you to put you on your stage unless you can sell yourself. Right. And everybody's operating on one radio station, WIFM radio. What's in it for me? So my clients come, our private clients come from every background you can think of. I would say the common thread is they're tired of the same. They need somebody, and I'm not everybody's people.
Right.
You know, if you
Nobody
don't want
is.
to hear the truth, I'm not your people.
Right. Well, don't
If
you
I'm a
agree?
group,
I totally agree with that statement.
yeah,
Like the awareness that who we are as individuals isn't necessarily aligned with every single person you're going to meet. And I think a lot of people get offended by that. And it's like, that's okay. It's like you don't
well,
need to be
there's
everybody's cup of tea. It doesn't have to be that way at all.
how many billion people on the planet. When somebody says no,
Yeah.
this is what I look at it as.
Right.
So for here's a nugget for your team, you know, Cari Ann, is when somebody says no to you,
Mm-hmm.
that just means that someone else is going to get a yes.
Oh, I know. I say that to them all the time. It's like
And
burn
when
through
somebody
those
says
nose, baby. Because
no to
eventually you're gonna
them,
hit a yes.
that means hit yes for
Right.
you. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just look at it, there's
Yeah.
enough business on the planet for all of us.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But I believe that people are afraid. Americans, I think, have been conditioned to not ask for help. I will tell
agree
you,
with
I was
that.
at the top of that list.
Mm-hmm.
And once I went out and started to get help myself, I realized that I really was the help other win gal.